time, now's the time. Think about all the dreams you keep inside. Think about all the ones you love. I know this beating heart will be my guide. I know that we can overcome. When the world's so cold and we're losing hope, I need her, I need her. When the darkness comes and we're overrun, yeah, I need her. That's when we need each other. 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 When you're falling fast and don't know where you are, you feel the danger closer than your heart. When the weight is getting heavy and the future is unsteady, close your eyes, close your eyes. Think about all the dreams you keep inside. Think about all the ones you love. I know this beating heart will be my guide. I know that we can overcome. When the world's so cold and we're losing hope, I need her, I need her. When the darkness comes and we're overrun, yeah, I need her. That's when we need each other. 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 That's when we need each other.
We're back again for League of Legends here on the Null, coming into Game 2 after a fascinating Game 1 saw a real stomping being put out by Bristol Whipped. Last year's, I believe they were summer champions. Spring champions. Looking to do the same again, starting with a 1-0 score record. The same is true for one of the teams that we are about to see now as well. Cabbage Family picked up their first victory. Their oppositions, however, they're currently lying at 0-1. That's ESSKT.
So you kind of got it right in terms of the whole champion thing, because Bristol were the spring champions and Cabbage Family, they were the summer champions from 2020. They were also runners-up in Winter's the Split just gone. SKT unfortunately did not reach the finals in the splits of 2020. They did just lose their first game versus Grey Warwick off stream, but of course, as we've been saying, all of these teams are highly competitive. We know that the bracket to get into the prize playoffs and then also qualify for Varsity itself was a matter of like a single game. So it's been really close. There are definitely a lot of close matchups to keep our eyes on. And while this might be, I mean, of course, looking at like the last finalists, a quite tilted matchup, again, this could be very, very close.
We said the same last time, though, and look what happened there, Alex. That was an absolute dominant display, and it was Bristol Whip definitely setting the rest of the league on notice. This now on stream is an opportunity for either of these two teams to do the exact same thing, though. Let's take our minds back a little bit to that winter final, the 3-2, which eventually went in favour of DMU.
So, yeah, that went over to DMU T1, but it was really, really fun, really, really exciting, and really, really close. It's a 3-2 in the true sense. Well, sometimes you can actually have quite one-sided 3-2s where they're two really hard-fought wins for the losing team and then 3 stomps for the winning team. But this was one which was very close back and forth. Alpha Moss, top laner for Cabbage Family, got a Penta on Shen in Game 4, I believe it was. By the way, off-stream in Game 1, apparently also got a Penta. So this guy just keeps churning out those 5 kill streaks in those team fights. So it'd be really interesting to see what they come out with in this game. It's a little terrifying for the side of ESSKT, but you know, I was talking to their captain just before all of this, and you know, getting to know some of the teams, and they do have really good taste in anime, so they've got that going for them.
And that's why you'll definitely be backing them, knowing you, Alex. It's going to be good. We'll keep our eyes towards Champ Select as and when it occurs. We'll bring you all of the information as it comes to us. Of course, we do use that proxy pick system, so occasionally we'll see a champ, we'll get excited about it, and then be told, oh, by the way, that's not it. But speaking of things we're excited about, very much so looking forward to next week. Please do come back for the stream then, because we'll have 2 other fantastic casters coming in. Melvin is returning for his second split, being joined by our newest addition, which is Brackish Brit, who I've just seen there in the chat. So a big hi to him, make him feel very welcome.
Absolutely, gotta support our comrades in Newell casting crime, and yeah, we just went to course get into that champion select. And I mean, like, obviously, I was looking at that last draft and thinking, oh wow, top side of the map looks really good for Surrey, and they didn't. Of course, that wasn't how the game played out. Kind of played opposite towards that, but it's really interesting to see how each of these teams goes about their own game style, because each of these players are so very, very unique. Some of these teams have kind of put everything on rails, where you have players that always play a tank, always plays initiator, always play like an AP melee mid or something like that. You can find some really weird roles which these teams have found to just completely design their team comps around. And then you have teams like Cabbage Family who just do what they want, really. They just kind of do everything, and they have a player like Alpha Moss on the top side who can play the Shen, play Camille, play carries, play everything else. But they also have someone on the bottom side of the map in Gregors. Gregors is a very well-renowned ADC who is also a primary carry. Yes, SKT. I'd say they're probably a team which does have a bit more of those roles set in stone, I guess, on the side of this. So for me, this is more about the whole more fluid team comp versus the more set in stone, and it's kind of practice versus adaptation for me in that kind of philosophical style. Although, of course, it could be completely blown out the window, and I could also not know what I'm talking about.
Hey, I was going to say there's a first time for everything, but in this case it would be an absolute repetition. We're, of course, going to be doing our predictions as we come into them. How are you feeling about being 1-0 down for the split so far?
You know, I've cast teams that have gone 0-6 and made it into playoffs before. I'm sure I can make it work. really hope so.
You may well have to if I can keep my my prediction form up. The prediction king of League of Legends. That's what they call me. And if by they I mean no one, then that statement is factually correct. Phonetically speaking, of course, looking at the team who are going to be on red side, SKT. That's a team who in the LCK have been playing a little bit without Faker recently. Of course, SKT, as we see them here, they won't have Faker either, but they've still got some pretty standout players.
Wait, why is that the segue you have? Okay, sure. You know what? I'm just gonna roll with it. Actually, I mean, it is in the name. Yeah, I mean,
in the name.
No, I mean, I look at this team and we saw them. We did see them play in the Varsity qualification bracket, so we have had the pleasure of casting them before. And let's be honest, anyone who's got to Varsity at this point has been through hard matches and has had a good record. That's like the baseline, right? You don't get into Varsity by being a mediocre team. You get here by being a pretty damn good one. These are the top 12 teams across the entire of the UK university scene. And that is no small feat. So even though you think, oh man, this obviously cabbage finalists from the Winter Split, they do come in as favourites, and they will come in as favourites for me as well. Much like I guess Bristol whipped in that last game too. In terms of the nameplates on, they have that extra allure to them because of their history and their pedigree. But that doesn't mean there's no hope for other teams, because everyone who's got here has done quite a lot to get here already.
And I don't know how much you follow football at all, but in the English Premier League this year, even though there are certain teams that are doing well that you would expect to do well, your Manchester Cities, your Liverpools, Manchester Uniteds, pretty much everybody's beating everyone. They've got a position at the moment where you can do like a wheel of all 20 teams, and somewhere online, every team has beaten every team, so you can have a circle that's beaten everybody. I have a feeling the same thing can very easily happen amongst these 12 teams, and with only having that one opportunity to play each team, a win or a loss against a certain team, it can completely change how your season ends up playing out. We are into Champ Select. We have the opportunity to see what these two teams are going to be drafting. Zed and Viego, yes, already banned away by the Cabbage family as SKT take away the Kai'Sa and the Seraphine.
They do, and remember, these are all best of ones too, right? One mistaken ban, one thing you let slip through your mind, and you get something like, heck, I remember back to one of my favorite series of all time, that season 6 semi-finals at Worlds between SKT, very topical, I guess, and the Rock Tigers, right?
Yeah, where did you get that segue from, Nightmare?
Oh wow, it's incredible. My mind knows no bounds, Stan. And but then you get these kind of games where something really important can get picked, like forgotten in picks and bans, and you're just like, oh no, we did not plan for that. We got to make it up as we go along. Karma's first locked in for Cabbage Family, but point that way. That's how that works. It's a flex pick. It can go top right now. It's always got that ability to go into mid. QQR, by the way. Well, QR, like QR code, is still the same player they had from last split, rebranded from Sean F90. Can go into top, can go into mid, can of course go into bot as well, to the hands of mostly Grumpy.
All right, yeah, as you say, there's a huge amount of flex from the Karma at the moment. I'd almost be surprised if it ended up as a support with the way that champion's been playing out recently. A champion I'd be less surprised to see as a support is the Leona, that is going to be the first lock-in for SKT.
See, that's funny. We were literally in call with someone yesterday as we were, running over our notes. It's like, what do I take Leona top into Blitzcrank? What do I do? So that's that's always got to keep the cheese smelly around here. Got the Samira locked in, and on the other side, Alpha Moss has got Camille again. We heard that they had an enormous performance in game 1, and it'll be alongside that Ude, which run, stun, job done.
Yeah, that is going to be pretty scary. We saw it banned away in the first game, so that Gadunica couldn't get his hands on it. Porp will be able to pick up the Man Bear Pig. Meanwhile, looks like a Hover a Mundo, which is something I certainly am not expecting to see.
Rock solid. Yeah, we got it. Cool. Nice. Malphite. That's one of the better nullifying matchups into something like Camille, particularly with the likes of Frostfire Gauntlet and Steam Tank and a lot of the other tank items being more accessible to top lane tanks now in terms of their cost. That's why we've seen Cho'Gath a lot, by the way. That's one of those reasons. You can hold lane versus Camille. If you get ahead in that lane, you can make it really annoying for Camille to start split pushing. And then, of course, when you teleport into a fight, your impact is very much felt.
There are two champions I would particularly love to see coming out of SKT to round out this draft that, for me, would really change the way the comp worked. And
Yasuo Yone. Oh.
A big pun?
Yasuo Yone. Oh, maybe not.
Yasuo Zac was actually the two I was thinking of. I'm not entirely sure whether that's going to be something that happens or not. We're seeing the Jhin and the Mundo both banned away. Senna's going to be the final takeaway from SKT. Cabbage Family, one champion left to take out the game.
So Kai'Sa's gone. That's your top tier AD carry, and you know that the Jhin and Senna are already gone. I mean, obviously one of the interesting things here is that the Samir's picked up for ESSKT rather than 5 weapon 0 damage, which is of course the Phalios main down there on the bottom side of the map. Just chosen not to go towards that. So now you have to see. This is where you actually start getting a lot of the extra flavor of your comp, because you know you have hard engage. But how does this allow you to side lane with your extra picks? Are you going to look in something like a Twisted Fate? Or are you going to look in something a little bit more weird? Malphite can be flexed towards mid lane, of course. Hovering over the Singed, no idea how likely that is. That is much more all in. That's a Karthus likely going to jungle.
Karthus comes through. It makes it an interesting team fight. There's going to be lots of potential AoE damage to come out of ESSKT. Not quite what I was thinking of when I was making my little imaginary draft in my head, but there's a reason why these people are playing in the top tier of University Esports, and I'm talking about it.
Those who can't play cast, so the old adage goes. But playing on the bot side of Cabbage Family, it will be Gregors and mostly Grumpy for Xayah and Rel. I like this combo. It gives you a lot of ability to peel in team fights, because Rel's not just the go button, has a really unparalleled ability right now to peel for AD carries in team fights, particularly now stuff like Tahm Kench is not really that prevalent.
I'm really interested by what we're going to see as the matchup into the Karma mid. Yone is something that you yourself mentioned just a moment or two ago, and it has now been locked in. Brother of the Yasuo I was hoping for, but still going to make things interesting nonetheless. This has rounded out the team compositions, and I'd really like to hear what you think as your breakdown of these two comps.
So, huge 5v5 from the side of ESSKT. I'm worried about the side lane allocations into the Karma and the Camille, because I look at this Yone, and I don't think Yone wins against Camille. I think that Camille just tends to win most side lane matchups in the game right now. So I'm looking at that and I'm saying, okay, so Cabbage Family have the ability to run over the early game a lot better with the Udyr too. And we know that they're really good at pathing. They're really good at blowing open the early game. We saw that in the finals too. And Alphamos on a champion which has preferential matchups can dive onto the Karthus, dive onto the Yone. Samira can't escape you either. I think that Alphamos has prime potential to go right into the enemy backline and wreak havoc. When you've got the Karma shield, when you've got the Rel engaging for you too, looking like that's going to be enabled. Cabbage Family, I think, can just play around the Camille.
Before I bring you my thoughts on the same thing, but said more eloquently, let me let you know that the predictions are now up. So you have that opportunity to let us know in Twitch chat whether you think it's going to be ESSKT or Cabbage Family picking up the win. As you can see, that is an exceptionally slanted prediction at the moment. 95% in favor of Cabbage Family, but it could still swing, though it probably won't. One thing that I'm looking towards here is this Udyr. It's the champion that has just had the vote to come through for a bit of a rework to come through. People think it's outdated. But the reason why it's seeing so much play at the minute is because it's so simple. It does what it says on the tin. It goes in, it gets the job done, and it has the potential to just outwin the lane for someone like a Camille.
So I might have tapped the vote thing on the prediction. I might have tapped it quite a lot. So I think I put about 100 points into that. So as the vote might be slightly skewed by the Nymera factor, I apologize. I was only meant to vote once.
To clarify, which
a bit more than that. Might have voted towards Cabbage Family because I'm like, oh yeah, Camille is a fun champion. Good luck, Essex.
What? Okay, well, I think I know the answer to this one based on your spending of your points on Twitch.
Oops.
Who are you predicting to take the win this game, Alex?
I think it's going to be Cabbage Family.
I was going to get my Macaulay Culkin face ready.
I think that is to just get your surprise Pikachu face on it. Like, wait, you voted for Cabbage Family? And that's it.
Yeah, and we both did. I also voted for Cabbage Family on the panel. I'm still saying that they're going to win based on this. I think they're coming in as something of a legacy team with real historic performances behind them. I like the way they've drafted into this composition. I have full respect for ESSKT, who we've had the chance to cast before. But just looking at these two comps, looking at the players in front of us, gut feeling, Cabbage Family. My concern is I'm agreeing with you, and you're so often wrong.
There you go. And on the other side of things, there's the huge wombo potential of Yone, Malphite, Leona setting up for that, and then, of course, the Karthus finishing off any stragglers. So if it comes down to a 5v5 in any even state of the game, you catch enough members, the fight just ends. I just worry what's going to happen with Udyr being able to control the early game with strong laners like the Camille. Xayah is a strong laner too right now. It's also, Xayah's pretty good into Samira, because Samira, you think, oh, well, can't you just block the feather recall? Well, often you want to kind of like use, if you force out the W, from the Samira early, it's like you can get like 4 E cooldowns from the side of Xayah for every W cooldown that comes out of Samira. And if you ever have to dive in, well, Xayah loves champions diving into her. So I think that Xayah has been a pick into a lot of your Kaisers and Samiras, and I think that on that bot side of the map, Gragas is going to have a decent time too.
Just to check with production, did the poll complete, or is it on for 15 minutes again?
Pants hey, no need to be so rude, Pads.
In a truly friendly way, as is his right to do. I do think when I look at this team, these 2 team comps, similar to what we said in the last game with what Bristol Whip had in front of them, that if ESSKT get to late game, they get Dark Harvest stacks on Carvus, they get Yone to a point where he's that disgustingly powerful late game champion, they absolutely can do massive work. As you say, their team fight is absolutely ridiculous. Similar to last time, I question whether the team with that scaling is going to be able to get to there. Honestly, I hope they do. I hope this is a really close, competitive game, the sort that we saw in the finals in December.
Because, I mean, the interesting thing is the last time we saw Yone in Newell was in those finals, and it was Cabbage Family that played it in Game 4 and Game 5. And they won 1 and they lost 1. That Game 5 was absolutely cataclysmic, and then the Yone didn't... the Yone was really fun because a lot of the wombo coming through. I think they had the Shen on top of it too, which is what ended up making things really fun. They won't have that this time. This time is less about the supportive utility top laner from Alpha Moss. It is going to be that Camille. And a lot of this team's hopes rest in that top lane, because if it gets to the point where Malphite can't hold lane versus the Camille, you're running in with the Udyr and you can just dive towers for days. Because let's be honest, Udyr, once you get 2-3 items, doesn't particularly care about tower shots in a 2v1 tower dive. Then suddenly, how do you play the map as ESSKT? Because this Malphite doesn't get to defend wave, doesn't get to get farm, doesn't get to be tanky, doesn't get to then be a frontline, which actually helps in that wombo combo. So a lot of this will have to be what's happening to these side lane allocations. Can you actually have something that stalls out the Camille?
The 2 teams have done what they can in the draft phase. I hear the sounds of the rift in my ear. This means that we will be going into game 2 of tonight's stream. A massive thank you to our partners for this split. They are Logitech G, Unite students, and Twitch student. Massive thank you to them. And if you do want to follow us on our various socials, do check out twitch.tv/Null, which is where you're at right now. Drop us a like. Discord.g/the Null, and at the Null on Twitter as well. Coming into this game, the 2 teams spread themselves out. We're going to get those defensive formations yet again. I miss the old cheesy invades.
I kind of do, but then it really does depend on your level 1 power, and most of the time you kind of want that coming from your supports. Porp decides that damage means nothing to him and asserts dominance by taking damage.
Just a brief pause from myself there as I managed to spill Ribena all over my face. Excellent start to the game.
So Stan has drinking problems, and
why are you got to do me like that on stream?
I love myself the airplane movie, that's why. Can't let that go. It's a sitter. We do, of course, have ourselves very inert level 1. And again, it is mainly due to these supports. Sure, Zenith plays nice, but it's just not the same as having a Braum concussive blow come through and just being very, very afraid of those level 1 death brushes. Of course, Nautilus Morgana are the other ones for that. QR managing to sweep out that ward, and that's really important. That means that both Camille and Karma hit level 2 on the first wave, because you do get XP from wards nowadays. There used to be a thing ages ago where you didn't get any XP from killing wards, but now you do. So you get yourself, particularly because that level 1 to level 2 mark is such a small amount of XP between the first and second waves. It can give you the extra ability to cast at level on the second wave early, which can turn some matchups, particularly when the early swings like Yone come.
I do want to ask the question though of what you think this means, because actually that Oracle lens was on Karma rather than on Porp that we just saw there. So that does mean that there's not going to be a warding trinket available for QQR.
No. But then this is a Karthus who's not exactly going to be ganking too effectively. You have a Wall of Pain at level 4. You're not really looking... you're not really in much danger in the early stages of the game. And it does allow, potentially, Porp to go unseen because the Karma's the one clearing the ward, not the Udyr as well.
Meanwhile, we do see those early trades going very nicely for QQR, not just clearing out the wards, but also pushing the wave and making their tree's life a living hell on the Yone right now. Meanwhile, Alpha Moss trying to push in, trying to get some aggression onto Abel Corpse, but he's very able to deal with it.
Yeah. And this is the other thing. Karma, if you get to auto-attack the enemy champion in lane on cooldown like that, just keep harassing, your ult comes up that more often. You get more of those soul flares, which are upgraded, of course, from the inner flame, I believe it is. And it just means your early game power is so nasty. This is why in bot lane, Karma just tends to win a lot of lanes. 1v2, now you're stuck 1v1, and against this Karma who's managing to get a lot of early damage, blow your pot early. Battery not particularly happy with the state of affairs.
I was interested to see what the clear would be like for these two junglers early on, as we do see Port taking away blue buff and Gromp simultaneously. However, it's still just very slightly behind Influentic with the start that the Karthus has managed to get.
There is that, but then that's because Karthus skipped Corrupt. Didn't go towards that camp. He's going to miss that one camp on the top side of the map. It does mean that Influentic is going to get towards that bottom scuttle early into the game. But actually, Cabbage Family, I really like what they're doing. This is something which you sometimes see. They allow Rel to get out of lane very early when this scuttle is spawning. It allows them to get onto the map and contest this while Zai goes for a recall.
Yeah, Influentic completely zoned away now as a result. Port comes
really
going to look to bear slap the old scuttle, take this one away. Nothing that the Karthus can do to stop it, and suddenly falls 2.5 camps behind.
So that's mid lane priority, backing with the Rel, backing with the Xayah early to release the Rel onto the map and get them roaming. And then just, remember, that Karthus had Smite, and Udyr didn't. That was a Smite versus no Smite fight, and they just managed to zone him off completely and use that pressure really well. So Cabbage Family get themselves an early lead, but top lane, what the hell?
Alpha Moss might have got a penta off stream, but has just been murdered on stream. Abel Corpse finding the flash kill.
Okay, maybe it's time for me to start watching the map and maybe some of those health bars a little bit more closely. I was sat there admiring the macro plays of Cabbage Family, while the individual top lane play goes the way of the Essex team. Get themselves first blood, and this Camille, who has so much of the carry burden placed on them from this draft, falls behind early.
Yeah, teleport burned from the Camille just to get back to that wave, pick up as much of the CS as possible. Bear Tree is going to get Tevin here, goes into soul form, trying to put some damage back, but QQ are still forcing the QQs out of Bear Tree.
Absolutely. So we do have mostly Grumpy down here, able to fish for engages. This is pretty much Leona versus new Leona as a bot lane. That's kind of what Rel's become, the infinite CC bot diving into the fray. But what are we looking for next? There's a dragon coming up. That's the kind of thing which, of course, both of these junglers will take very quickly if they have that option. But Influentic going for a bit of a pressure gang top lane where they're just trying to come in and make sure this wave is not frozen by Alpha Moss. And Alpha Moss has got dancing shoes on. Yeah,
dodging away from those defiles, those lay waste as much as possible, trying to get himself up to level 6 just as quickly as possible, provide a little bit of safety. How does the interaction work between Hextech Ultimatum and the Unstoppable Force?
So you follow the Unstoppable Force, and the Malphite cannot actually go through the wall of it. So as soon as the wall comes down partway through that animation, Malphite will just ping right back into the wall. But if you cast it too late, you end up following him partway of that distance.
Okay, and if you were to use it on Malphite that was ulting towards you, are you able to cancel out at all like you can with certain abilities?
Well, you'd end up going untargetable when you first cast the ability. So there is, if you do end up getting that right timing, yeah, you can end up dodging it, because of course it's not like Malphite is targeted, it's a free targeted ability. You don't point and click on an enemy champion, as much as some people might like that to be. So there is some counterplay available in this matchup, yes.
That's cool. I thought that was the case, but I'm glad to check with my exceptionally knowledgeable colorcaster friendo. But unfortunately, he wasn't here, so I asked you.
Oh, why do I keep doing this? I just keep setting myself up. Okay, Dragon started, and cool. Right, talk about that, Stan.
Well, I'm just thinking that perhaps Influentic was going to catch out Port, but instead turns the attention towards a gank on the bottom half of the map. This is going to buy the Udyr just enough time to get away by the skin of his berry teeth, and Port will now go aggressive onto Influentic, finding the slap, going to manage to root Influentic in place. Influentic has flash available, but just knows it's not worth it. Port covering off all escape options, having to flash out in the end, but the kill goes over to the bot laner of Cabbage Family.
This is the rare casting opportunity to say, bear slap, then flash. It's the other way around. Everything's very strange. Pop gets out, knows that, of course, that the Requiem not available for Influentic, can't get that finishing DPS. And with Greg as a mostly Grumpy being ganked because they had priority, means they still had priority to go fight over that jungle trade after Carter starts backing off. Because, of course, Udyr was unseen on that dragon for a while. Influentic gets caught on the retreat.
I'd say the timing went just about perfectly for Port there as a game of Petri going aggressive with the ultimate, forcing the flash out of QRR, flashing response, but not able to find the final slice and dice before QQR gets out to safety, and the soul is popped back by Beartree.
And I love how the Observer goes straight over towards the Scuttle, because if that dies and Influentic got 6, there was a real chance the ult comes through and finishes off that kill in the mid lane. It's something, in fact, a couple of seconds earlier, that would have been another kill over to the side of the Essex team. Don't end up getting that, though. Timing not quite matching up. Close to run things.
The Mozart of the Rift is back, as Influentic has now got Requiem available, keeping the eyes out for those potential Dark Harvest stacks, of course. Meanwhile, Alpha Moss doing a good job of CSing, trying to stay as level as possible in this lane, which of course he lost first blood in.
Did indeed. So I guess looking over the rest of the lanes, I mean, it is the Malphite, which is the good news story for ESSKT. Everywhere else, just faltering just a tad. It's not really warning signs right now. It's only between, 10 CS and just above that. Apart from that mid lane, where of course the Karma has managed to really, from the start of the game, abuse Bear Tree on this Yone, that solo kill would have been huge. It would have forced back Karma have that, and they just teleported back to lane anyway. All it did was force a reset rather than force anything else. But now, of course, at least they get the flash away from QQR.
Bear Tree, of course, looking to get towards late game Yone, where you've got so much damage. You see that at the moment, even though you're landing full combos onto QQR, damage just really isn't there unless you've got the ultimate available and happen to hit absolutely everything.
Well, this is the thing, because there are actually some outplays that can come out from the Karma in this matchup, because you know exactly where the Untethered Will is going back to, right? You press E, and then if you have, say, your Alt W, you can take the first part of that trade, use the Alt W, regen a load of HP, and then potentially flash back to between the Yone and his tethered self to get that root off if someone like Porp were to come back into that lane. So it's not actually as low counterplay as some other lanes. It's kind of similar to the LeBlanc lane in some ways because of that tether.
Speaking of things without counterplay, Porp has found a huge, well, a 2-camp CS advantage over the opposition jungler. On top of that, assist that was found on finding the kill for Gregors. And as a result, we do see that Porp is having a bit of a happier time on this Udyr than maybe a lot of junglers when they go up against Karthus, someone who, with their power farming, is known usually to have a CS advantage.
Normally, but Udyr, a lot of damage coming out of those raids we've been talking about. Oh, there's counterplay from this matchup. Well, Yone also still does a fair amount of damage. You're building up the Seeker's arm guard early on, getting that extra armor to use in that one matchup. But then the problem is that, yeah, okay, little counterplay to Udyr running at you, and let's see if Influencer can get out of that little situation. Does have priority in both their lanes, but is going to run straight into Udyr right now. Yeah,
Influentic sticking around, looking towards this Scuttle Crab. However, with Prio over to the Yone, it is actually going to be Influentic this time who's able to zone away from the Scuttle Crab. Porp's going to be left running for the hills on this one. Looking towards the numbers on the bottom half of the screen, you do see
I'll use mid.
Massive, good damage coming through. QQR again sent back towards the turret. In mid lane and the ADC, we see that 22 CS advantage towards the Cabbage family, and this is why they find themselves that gold lead of 300.
It is. And this is the duality of Xayah, right? You have the ability to outplay the dive coming in from the various members of ESSKT. You've got the gold lead to make sure actually it's going to be really important if you do outplay that dive, because you can turn it around for a very large amount of damage. But if you don't press your ult in time, you get caught by the Malphite ult or any other form of CC, that's pretty much it. And the question is, do Cabbage family have the ability to win a lot of these fights after the Xayah goes down if they do end up getting caught? And my worry is, with Camille losing to the Malphite right now, I'm not sure they do.
Yeah, very, very good question. Similar to in game 1, where we looked at the late game team coming online early on, Influentic and the rest of their team doing pretty well with this Wombo combo comp that hasn't fallen behind to what could have been superior lanes. Abel Corps have been doing great against Alpha Moss, and now might well be about to see the Herald planted in his lane to secure first turret.
Will do. In fact, actually, with it being below half HP, that's going to be all 5 plates over to the Malphite. It's as opposed to the Malphite, it's a Malphite or fight. The flight response from Alpha Moss as he decides to probably not defend this, knowing that the turret is definitely going down.
I respect this a lot from Alpha Moss. This is someone who we talked about getting a pentakill in our winter finals, got a pentakill in the first game of the split just off stream, but also showing that they do accept that sometimes a good defense is the good offense, and actually going, you know what, I'm not going to die multiple times to this Malphite who has been making my life a living hellacious affair.
But on the other side of it, as we see it, all in on bot side, that's more important.
Down into magnetic field, big damage coming down from Porp as well. Xayah's there, but doesn't need to be, because Most Trumpy is going to find a kill with the Ignite. Flash away from Sinjo Skele as they try to get out to safety, but it's only at the expense of their summoners.
Oh, caught out in the jungle. Porp getting the damage down with the Conqueror, but actually now the teleport's coming through.
Port might be caught out. Blastcone over the wall with mostly Grumpy. Bear Tree coming in. Flash away from Abel Course's unstoppable force, and Bear Tree unable to get any of that.
Yes, Abel, of course, unable to land the Unstoppable Force onto the two members of a Cabbage family caught out. A flash from Udyr, a crash down from Rel sees them to safety. This buys Alphamos some much-needed relief in the top side, because while Camille does have a good side laning matchup into Malphite from ahead, it has not been that way for the early part of the game, with the first blood going the way of Abel Corpse. So this might just tilt the top side of the map back into some form of neutrality for Cabbage family.
Alex, I am so excited for what the next 10 minutes hold. No flame or any kind of discredit meant towards the Surrey Stags, but that game was kind of over by this point in the first game that we saw tonight. This time round, we are dead level as we approach the mid-game.
And it's dead level with team comps that really want to fight. They want to get stuck in. It's not like we have the Azir and the Tristana from that last game. These are the players which want to get stuck in, and the Udyr is leading the charge.
Pop gets slowed, but immediately goes in with the bear slap. Alphamos realizes the Yone is going to have to bounce back to the soul. Good damage comes in, but Bear Tree does find the ultimate. Influentic trying to put damage down. Bear Tree caught out by the Hextech ultimatum. Alphamos running away, leaving Influentic to die. It's going to be lay waste that is coming through from the dead. It's going to be Requiem. It's going to be no kills just yet. Abel Course finds one, he finds two, he's looking for a third. QQR running to try to get to the safety of the Blasco, finds it just as Solar Flake, and Credit Flake goes narrowly wide.
What happened at the end of that fight is you could see Alphamos thinking, oh, am I going to die to this cast assault? I'd best hookshot in, get the best value for my remaining HP bar that I can. But actually, they survive. If that hookshot had been used to disengage, there's a chance only one kill goes back to the side of ESSKT. As it stands, though, huge turnaround play from the side of the Essex team. And Abel Corpse didn't get any kills in that last teleport play, gets two thrown to him in that one.
And suddenly that's a 3-0 Malphite up in the top lane. Of course, going for a tanky build as we would expect in this sort of game. One thing to factor in, though, Nightmare, is the fact that in this game where, of course, we do see an Infernal Rift, there have already been 2 dragons, a mountain and a cloud picked up by the Cabbage family.
So we have ourselves a bit of a timer for ESSKT in their own right? So we have Couch Family picking up the objectives, and when you have a 5v5 comp, you often want to be fighting around those objectives. Now the issue is, if Cabbage Family want to give up a dragon, and they feel like they can do, well, there's no pressure, there's no soul on the table, which means that ESSKT can't necessarily force the fights at the point of the game where they're very strong, and they might have to give up something in the side lanes as a recompense for that.
Bear Tree consistently going aggressive, loves to do this on the Yone, getting towards that first item completion soon. Gregor's trying to throw out the feathers, pick up a bit of a recall, maybe a route to come from it. If I could ask the Magnificent Pants to let us know a gold lead in the moment, that'd be wonderful as Porp comes through, potentially looking for the bear slap, going to catch it onto Signor Skele, who is completely rooted down for days, tries to do something to survive, but it's just not happening for the Leona.
This is the exact interaction of, well, mid lane's more important right now. Whoa, they miss everything!
Abel Corpse not going to connect with the Unstoppable Force, but the slow and the Wall of Pain coming in on top of QQR, trying to get out to safety with the speed up from the shield, and it's going to work. That's 1 kill on the bottom half of the map, and none in response in mid.
They don't land the correct abilities. Now they are without the Unstoppable Force, without the Yone ultimate too. They are stuck on this bottom side of the map. At least Alphamos doesn't have teleport to join them there right now, but there's still 40 seconds till the dragon spawns, which means that he's probably going to get there if he wants to be.
We are going to have ourselves another fight. Let me tell you the situation with gold. There is a 2,000 gold advantage for the Malphite over the Camille, but every single member of the Cabbage family that is not in top lane has a gold lead over their opposition. This is a 1v5 if ever I saw one. And Abel Corpse is the one who's caught out. He gets a bit ready by Desire. He's not going to be able to help in this fight. Fuente gets caught out. Double kill comes through for Desire with the feather recall. Porp doing what they can, staying alive as Signor Skelly might be the next target. Focused down, caught out by the Hextech ultimatum as Alphamos makes it a 3-for-0, and a third dragon will go to the Cabbage family.
This is a 5v5 comp from the side of ESSKT. They take the initial fight around mid lane looking to pick off the Karma, but they use everything. They don't get their man. They don't manage to follow up on that play. And when they re-engage later on, or rather Cabbage family choose the fight for themselves, they then no longer have the ultimates to uphold this 5v5. Dragon goes to Cabbage family, and whereas this was quite an even game beforehand, the timer is now on the board for the Essex team.
One ultimate being down is usually not the end of the world for a team. However, when that ultimate is an unstoppable force on an unstoppable force from a Malphite with a 2k gold lead over the lane opponent, the only person on your team, as we were just saying, with a gold lead, and it's not there, and then the champion isn't there shortly thereafter. That is bad news.
Absolutely is. I do want to take a moment to appreciate Gregors and how he's playing this game. Doesn't have the Gale Force on Xayah. Has gone for the Immortal Shield Bow instead. Very important because we know the amount of burst that can come out from various ultimates, which we're missing for that fight, of course, but across the whole members of this red team. Now it's Abel Corpse having to ult away in the top side. Another ultimate down. But just want to talk about Gregors able to put out a high damage team fight the last time we saw him out. And that was without that Gale Force, which has enabled Xayah so much in the current meta.
Porp is doing work now, consistently just running in. We haven't even had to see the flash bear slap because the bear slap on its own has been plenty with the attack speed from Porp. Yet again, we just see it onto Abel Corpse. Influentic is here, turns one into a 2v2. Alphamos arriving a little late to the party, but has plenty of damage. Influentic does not have a lot of health. Going to be able to use that passive again. Abel Corpse flashing away, eventually getting caught out by Porp, who just runs himself out to safety in a clean 2-throw in top lane. And on the back of that third dragon being picked up, on the back of the last 2 fights, a 4,000 gold lead has been built up for the Cabbage family.
He's called Porp, but he's not a pauper. He's rolling in gold after a series of kills. Cabbage family have a gold lead as a team, and after this last couple of minutes, you can understand exactly why this team managed to make finals. This team have managed to stick together for so long. This synergy is very hard to contend with right now.
Sure is. Cabbage family starting to show their class in a big way. Yes, SKT, however, a team we also know has plenty of ability to make things work.
Absolutely.
Let's find a way to make that wombo combo finally pay off. The right ultimate from Abel Corpse can still swing this game.
Exactly. If you catch the Camille and the Xayah in one ultimate, which is not out of the question at all, if you do manage to find a correct funnel into an objective, this team of ESSKT, man, just so many acronyms, which okay, words are hard, you know, it's not like I have to say them too much or anything, right? But if they come into a funnel into this ESSKT squad, there's no fight they can't win, but right now, with the gold slowly edging over towards Cabbage family, and the way that they've been playing across the map, it does seem quite difficult right now.
I cannot disagree with you at all there, and it felt a little bit in the last couple of fights like it was an all eggs in one rocky basket, and unfortunately it's turned into a rocky road as the flash forward from Mostly Grumpy forces the flash retreat from Influentic. A blue buff will be stolen away, this one handed over to Pop. They now catch out and force the flash out of 5 weapons of damage, able to dash away right at the end. Influentic meanwhile try and turn some damage back onto Mostly Grumpy, and Beartree's come through the woods using his soul but isn't able to stick around long enough to pick up a kill. Rekrun will be forced down. Mostly Grumpy find the shield from the crash down, and that's going to be enough to save the life of Realm.
It does. Karma has their flash blown. That's important. That's now a sitting target for the next engage for this red team. But this is still Cabbage family getting away with a lot of plays you don't really expect them to. Alphamos has got free time on the top side. Now has, out of nowhere, what is that, a 35 CS lead over Abel Corpse, and has managed to catch up in some of that gold value. Only about 700 gold behind, whereas what were you saying, only 2,000 it was? And Porp continues to make a nuisance of himself in the mid lane.
Porp looking for Abel Corpse is just going to step away as the seismic shard goes his way. Camille with that free time up in top lane finds themselves a turret, probably almost equalizing that gold lead that Abel Corpse had previously had. Things looking very, very good for Cabbage family right now.
They are so okay, right. What were we saying about Cabbage family and ESSKT? In the draft, 5v5's looking like it's going the way of ESSKT. Not really happened. What we said was going to go the way of Cabbage family was, of course, their side lane allocations. Because if you get this Camille ahead, and you have a Karma who right now is doing pretty well for themselves, hasn't died yet, picked up a lot of components, has a Medjai's, much like we saw from Chentang in the first game from Bristol Whipped. These side lanes for Cabbage family pretty much have free run of the map. They have priority, and they can maybe even solo kill their opponents, given the right situations.
20 seconds left until the 4th dragon of the game comes up. This would get Infernal Soul for Cabbage family if they found it. Let's take a moment to enjoy the fact that this truly is a matchup to decide which vegetable is better. SKT and their mid laner, known for loving broccoli, up against the Cabbage family. And right now, Cabbage is coming out on top.
Does he take damage?
Does go aggressive, finds magnetic field onto 3, but is going to fall before the teammates can teleport in. Massive feather recall onto 4 is enough to see Gregors finding a lot of damage. Beartree trying to do what they can, but has to dash back to the soul. Shutdown comes in as Influentic Influentic does manage to find out the Camille. Meanwhile, Port trying to run away, but gets immediately caught out by Senor Skelly, but it's Senor Skelly who's caught out as QQR finds the kill on this mid lane. Karma doing great work. It's going to be Bear Tree bouncing back to Soul.
There's a dragon!
The dragon catches him out as double kill comes through for Port. Bear Tree doing what he can, dashes out over the wall to safety, gets followed by the flash of Gregors. That's going to be Infernal Soul. That's going to be the ace. I love the new League of Legends.
And the Cabbage family and their fans are loving QR and Gregors for that team fight. The Super Speed side doesn't need a damn Gale Force. They got all the move speed in the world from the Inspire. Gregors comes out of that fight completely scot-free after taking the majority of the team's health bars from the side of ESSKT. They now have an Infernal Soul to play with.
On the back of a 5-for-1, Cabbage family find themselves Infernal Soul and they start up the Baron.
They do, and with 4 people alive, actually 5 people alive, Gaffamos just on the bot side. This looks like it's going to be a very high value play, and Influentic doesn't have flash to escape this.
Mostly Grumpy goes straight onto the opposition jungler, and this should lead to a free Baron for the Cabbage family. Nothing you can do as a dead Carthus to take this one away. Senor Skelly maybe looking to make something happen, but even with a late solar flare, it is not going to take this one away from Port.
No Baron steal to be had in this game. Cabbage family kept it even early, maybe even got outplayed once or twice, but they come out in the team fights in an absolutely huge fashion. Now remember, this is Cabbage family's last split. This is like their swan song. They've stayed together for such a long time as a team. They said that they were a little sad not, of course, to get that UEM berth from that last split. They said, you know what, it doesn't matter. Let's just win the Newell split this time around. And honestly, with a performance like this, they're in with a good shout of doing that.
They really are looking excellent in this game so far, as were Bristol Whipped in their first game on stream. 2 of our old classic teams are coming back looking for more. Speaking of looking for more, Samira gets completely dunked on. This is now a 5-0-7 Gregors, who's looking back on their dominant form once again. Able Corpse sent running away just by the aggression, the pressure put on by Port.
You've got a Moonstone Renewer, you've got an Immortal Shield Bow onto the Xayah. If you don't end up one-shotting Gregors, he's probably going to come back with a full HP bar. At this point, with the gold they have invested into them, 23 stacks on the Medjais from QR. The shields are too large to really handle right now from ESSKT.
Yeah, too much to handle all across the map at the moment. The Camille split push has also been really difficult to deal with. Bear Tree trying to find a little bit of something, but as he dashes back to his soul once again, he comes back without having secured a single kill in this game. How different things could have been had he found that earlier kill on Karma.
Absolutely could have been a couple of seconds off of that Scuttle Crab clear. The Influentic ult not available for that first ability. And now it looks like Cabbage family are just controlling the rest of this map. You can see Ablecorp's looking for an ultimate, looking for anything. They just can't find it.
Oh, it felt like that was the moment for Ablecorps to pull the trigger. I think they're still contemplating it. However, with Alpha Moss pushing on the bottom half of the map, almost taking away that inhibitor turret, it's so hard for ESSKT to fight this war on so many fronts.
Is Alpha Moss actually in a bit of an extended engagement? That could be something. They still have the ult. They're just not finding anything, and what they're finding themselves is at the face, down the barrel of a 5,000 near-about Baron power play from Cabbage family. This is such an absurd siege coming in. How do they get in with this?
They go in with Bear Tree. He goes aggressive, finds himself the ultimate, gets good damage down. Greg is still alive, raining feathers down as Ablecorps comes in. He finds the combo, but finds it too late. Requiem comes from the skies, does not pick up a single kill. Only Dark Harvest to be had.
Feathers.
Meanwhile, Camille still pushing, is onto the bot lane inhibitor. This is 5 weapons of damage. Ablecorps both so very, very low. Hook shotting Camille comes in looking for a target. Ablecorps is going to be the first one to die as Influentic dashes around trying to survive against the man there big. But Port zones away Influentic, and this could well be the game. Cabbage family find themselves 2 inhibitors with a Baron empowered push. They may well find the game. Influentic will die to the Hextech ultimatum just like that.
A valiant fight from ESSKT, but a fight which falls away from them in much more dominant fashion than they would have liked. Teleport onto the cannon minion under tower. Cabbage family take their second win in 2 games.
Second win in 2 games. Our second place from Winter look to go one step better this time around, and they start absolutely on the right foot. Great performance coming in.
Looking to go one step further and one step closer to the edge and about to break some spines of these Newell Varsity teams. Cabbage family, if they wanted to make a statement, you've made it.
They certainly have. And let's not pretend for a moment that it's all over for ESKT. We are only in the first week of this split. There are still loads and loads of games to be played, but they have found themselves an 0-2 scoreline to start with, so they're going to have to really buck up their ideas if they want any chance of getting towards the knockout phases.
Well, of course, it is top 8 that do go through to playoffs out of the 12 teams. Just the bottom 4 end up losing out on that. It's not like you have to have a perfect split. And if you start first week poorly, people don't care about that if you make playoffs. People don't care about it if you start winning the best of series. You do need to do well enough to qualify. There are strong competitors from all across the UK in this bracket. But that doesn't mean that if you go 0-2, 0-3 in the first week, you're completely out of the picture.
Undeniably true. For you in that game, an MVP?
I think the MVP has to go towards Gregors. I think Gregors played those team fights absolutely immaculately. Yes, there was a karma backing them up, and Porp had a really good game too. That's my other candidate for it, but I look at those team fights in the Zyre, I'm thinking, there was just no way that Gregors was dying. He just played his positioning very, very well, had huge DPS whenever someone was put in front of him, didn't even need to build Gale Force to get into combat radius of so many of those different champions. Gregors just playing the game immaculately.
We have 2 games now finished off here on the Null League of Legends stream. We still have 1 remaining. Defending champions, DMUT1 from De Montfort University, will be going up against the newly rebranded Careless, formerly Fearless, from Leicester. That game will be on after this short break.